Hey, what's going on, world? It's me again, Ethan Smith, aka Mr. P.I.E.N, with another Saturday soulful session of expression sessions, where we come through and we express ourselves to you, and hopefully you get down here in the chats, in the comment section, and you express yourself too about something you may be going through, about something you may hear that we may say to you. And when I say we, I ain't just talking about me, I'm talking about my love, my life. Sitting here on my right, the lovely Kiki, who was missing last week. What's going on, Kiki? How you doing, love?
Doing great.
Yeah, you gotta talk down into the top of the mic, or you gotta talk over across the top of it so to pick up your voice. That's what Corey told me last week. So,
okay, so should I angle it a different way?
yeah, you gotta angle it, like sit it right up under. You so strong. Look at you, just strong. Oh man. There you go. So anyhow, how was your week? How you been?
I've been all right. Seemed like this week went by fast, but...
Talk about it. What do you mean?
Well, when you doing a little bit of this and a little bit of that, before you know it, your week is gone.
Okay, that makes sense. It happens like that. I mean, we already in February.
I know, right?
We already in February. That's right. Well, here's something I want to do today, babe. I want to introduce something new before we get into our topic. Being Black History Month, we're going to talk a little bit about black people. And we're going to talk about black love, and I'm still going to motivate you and include you, from the white people, the brown people, the Asian people. All people is my people because I love people. So although the society say it's Black History Month, we're going to focus a little bit on black history and black love, but all this inspiration that me and Kiki going to get to y'all is for all people.
Yes.
But something that I want to do, and I hope they partake in, love. I hope they partake in is, I say it's expression sessions, and we don't give them nothing to express themselves with. So from here on out, what we gonna do, and we open up the show after the intro and all that, I want to know what your 1 minute war is and what your 1 minute win is. And what do I mean by that? You can drop this down in the comments. 1 minute. What are you warring with? What is bothering you? What is irking at you? Maybe it's a boss at the job. Maybe it's your car's acting up. Maybe it's you don't have the money to get your car fixed. Maybe it's your relationship. Maybe it's your internet. Maybe it's people showing up late to do the podcast. Maybe you warring with something. Maybe you warring with something, but then after you talk about that thing that feel like getting the best of you, that's driving you, that you don't know what to do, that you warring with, that you battling with, then I'm gonna need you to close up with your win, what your victory is, what your victory is. So I'll let you start it off.
How sweet are you?
Wait, that's what husbands do. That's what husbands do. They do the sweet guy stuff too. So that's what husbands do.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you coming right there in the light. But tell us what you win with, what you warring with. It could be something in the last 7 days. What you got?
All right, so I'm an Instacart shopper.
What's the Instacart?
And my war for the week.
What's Instacart?
Instacart is like a grocery. It's not just groceries, but it's like a delivery platform where you can go on there and you can order your groceries or, whatever supplies you may need, and then a shopper will shop for you and deliver it to your house. So, I think it was Friday, not yesterday, but the Friday before that. Mm-hmm. I was just having a rough day. I had several customers who was like, I already received my order. So when I first start my shop, I introduce myself. Hey, this is Kiki. I'm going to be your shopper. Let me know if you need to add anything to your order or anything else I could do for you. Mm-hmm. To me, that's my way of letting them know that I'm starting their order, right? So I've had people conversate with me like, oh my God, thank you, or yes, can I add onions, or whatever they want in the comments. So I had a couple customers who chatted with me while I was shopping, and then when I got to their home, they were like, oh no, I've already received my order already.
Right.
And so I'm there like, okay, I done shopped and now I'm here to deliver, and you're like, you already got your order. So I'm warring with this thing. Now I have to call customer service, and they're like, well, return it back to the store. So now I have to go back to the store, and I'm like, wow, I spent all that time shopping And now I have to go back to the store to return everything.
Ooh, child.
And then you got to be pleasant in the midst of it. So it's like, okay, don't lose your cool. It's okay. And you're like, well, I'm so sorry. You got a double order. I don't know what happens. You know, I'll contact customer service. We'll get everything straightened out. And so one of those customers, they actually took the double order. They're like, it's okay. I can use these things. I'll take it. Well, I had one lady who was like, no, I do not want a second order. I already got my first one. So now I'm like, okay, ma'am, I'm so sorry. So I have to go back to the store and return her items. And then the store was like, oh, well, we're only gonna take 5 of these things. Everything else is perishable. So we can't take that because you took it out the store. We don't really, they wasn't saying this, but it was almost like, yeah, it's Corona. We don't know if you coughed on it, what you did to it. So you kind of stuck with the rest of it. We'll take these 5 things out of 20 and then, you kind of stuck with the rest. So in my mind, I'm like, so I'm not getting paid for this. I'm not, because they didn't take it all back. I'm not gonna get my money out. I spent all this time shopping and delivering it back to the store, and I was kind of discouraged, y'all. I was kind of discouraged, but I contacted Instacart, and the customer service guy was like, okay, well, just send us the receipt that you return, whatever they would take back, and then we'll still credit you for it. And so I'm like, oh my God, thank you so much. And then they're like, so I'm like, so what do I do with all this food that the customer didn't want? Like, you can either do 2 things. You can donate it or you can throw it away.
She's a couponer, y'all. She ain't throwing away nothing.
Like, okay, well, some of this stuff my family can use, so we gonna donate it to ourselves. I'm gonna donate it to my family, and we just gonna keep. So the win was, even though I went through all that and I was worn with all the madness I had to deal with, the win was we got free groceries and I still got to get paid. So even though it was a rough day, it still turned out to be a win for me.
That's all right, love. That is all right. Well, for our first ever official 1 minute win, 1 minute war, we went overtime.
Well, mine was together, so that was 2 minutes. A 1 minute win and a 1 minute war.
And we had
so
2 minutes and 47 seconds, and I started recording late. But that helped me because here's the thing, how that helped me, because I didn't have my 1 minute win or my 1 minute war together. But now that my wife went over, I got my 1 minute win and my 1 minute war. What is I warring with? My wife went over 47 seconds of her 2 minute time. Okay? I was looking to steal us being in punctuality, and she's just still roaming and talking freely. So that's kind of a struggle for me being a talker sometimes, you know what I'm saying? So that was a war for me. I'm like, let me clock this thing because the show gonna be over. Okay, let me look and see. But, Chestnut, what's going on? Here's my win in all this. My wife is talking. My wife is expressing. This is expression sessions. And when I sometimes go back and watch the video, I listen to me talk all the time and I hear my flow. I don't give her an opportunity to hear her flow. So now with this 1 minute win, this 1 minute war, it engages her more and I get to hear her story. So my win is my wife is talking and y'all see the silly Kiki and the free Kiki. So that helps and that blesses me. So thank you for my 1 minute win, my 1 minute war.
You're welcome.
And I didn't time myself, y'all, to see if I went
That about nothing.
Chess Kale, what's going on, man? Chess said Kiki.
Hey, Chess.
What's going on, Chess? What's going on, E-Money? What's going on, Trey? Yeah, we ain't seen Trey in a long time, but he jumps on the Instagram. So I appreciate you just shouting out Trey and thanking him again for connecting us. You know where we at, right? If you don't know, you know where we at. Paradox Studios, something, East 5th Street, Austin, Texas. One day I'm gonna have some numbers that go with that something.
Yes.
But that's our intro for today. So we gonna get into this thing and no more play. So let me give it a real quick, let me pray so God can use us to have something inspirational, motivational, inspirational, and transformational to say. Say it this way. Father God, I come before you today thanking and praising you for the many blessings that you've bestowed on us today. Let me slow down and speak these words clearly so not only can they hear what I have to say, I can hear what I have to say so I can use this same information and counseling in the same way that I'm attempting to tell them to. Because you know, Father, that's what we do. We give people advice to use and we don't use it on ourselves too. So I don't want to be a misrepresentation of you, not what the religious people say I'm supposed to do, but what my heart say I'm supposed to do, to speak freely, the best of people, to bless the people that's listening to me and to my wife that's listening to us. So God, in you I trust, not for what everybody else say, but for what I seen you do through me and for what we're continuing to do, what we're continue to go. I just ask that you allow us to speak freely and openly and the words and the inspiration begin to flow. I don't have no more. Wife, you got something?
No.
Amen.
Amen.
Hey, now that we back and we got past that, let's get into the topic this week.
All right.
Black History Month. What do you think about that when you hear that? I want to hear you free speak on that. Or let me set the stage. So the other day I was walking around in my, not my Mr. P.I.E.N, but I was rocking my negative nape, if you know what I mean. That's my alter ego. So when I'm not positive in every negative, I'm negative in every positive. We all go through it. I'm just not afraid to talk about it. So we were talking about Black History Month last week, and I'm like, man, I ain't thinking about that. Because one of my friends like, oh yeah, it's Black History Month, turn up, whatever. I'm like, man, I ain't thinking about that. It's Black History for me every day. Ain't nobody tell me I'm only supposed to celebrate Black History during this month or during this time. So I wasn't looking to be negative, or I wasn't looking to be spiteful, or I wasn't looking to be confrontational. But for me, that was just my feeling. Nobody can just give me and say this the month I get to celebrate what my heritage is supposed to be. But then you said something that blew my mind and helped me see it differently. You was like, nah, I'm gonna take that and I'm gonna run with it, because the not just the United States, but the world focuses on this month. So what was you thinking about that from your point of view? How do you see Black History Month?
I see it as something awesome. And I say that because although we are Black every day, let's be honest, we don't take the time to celebrate our heritage every day just because we are. So to have a month that is focusing on the celebration of a race, I'm all for that, because otherwise I can't say in March or in November or in any other month I'm taking the time to do that just because I am an African American. So
I got you.
Just to have myself refocused or to focus on the whole celebration and learning something new, and I think it's awesome. I think it's a good thing. I'm here for it. I'm learning a lot about, my own heritage that, again, I don't take the time to do it outside of that. And I know that's kind of sad, but when you going on with your daily life, and like you said, those 1 minute wins and 1 minute wars of life, you're not really taking the time to slow down to learn things about yourself that can really empower you and that can really set you up for success in your daily life. So I appreciate it. I don't know of any other culture that has a whole month where the world joins in and we all come together. And it's funny because we talk about how we don't come together as a people, but there are certain times in the year that we all do come on one accord. You think about your Christmas, you think about, different holidays, where your Thanksgivings, where it's worldwide people coming together in their own way and whatever those holidays mean to them. So again, as I think about Black History Month, it refocuses me to learn more about who I am, where I come from, so that I can be stronger for the other months. So that's how I look at it.
Well, that is all right. Perspective. It all depends on how we decide to see what we see. Now you got two different perspectives of Black history, but one perspective of we all support the history, or we support the history of Black people or the people we're identified to. And we support the history of you too. So it's not just about Black, but we make an acknowledgement because it's Black History Month.
Right.
So that's what we talking about. Well, with that being said, and me looking at that, I know some things that I never really tackled. I just look at Black History Month for the things that I learned on the TV screen or what they said, but not ever really digging in for myself. Blaming somebody else for the wealth that I thought I wanted to see for myself or for the people, the heritage that I come from. You know, I have friends that's German, I got friends that's African, I got friends that's Hispanic or Mexican, however you want to, you know, slice up the pie. You know what I'm saying? I have friends of different nationalities and different ethnicities, and they celebrate their history. It really is a big thing. Like you said, we got a month. St. Patrick's Day for the Irish is a day. You know what I'm saying? So it's different things you have to celebrate. But I came across something that I found very interesting reading this book. Dennis Kimbrough, which is the Dr. Dennis Kimbrough, best-selling author of Think and Grow Rich, A Black Choice. I'm not promoting, so I ain't gonna show you on camera. Go look it up on Google. But he wrote a book called Daily Motivations for African American Success. And you talked about saying why you are somewhat inspired by Black History Month. And as I was saying, you know, I'm black every day and I'm making history every day. It's not something that we celebrate, your blackness or your whiteness or your Hispanicness. You don't celebrate you every day.
Right.
And this book that I started reading, I heard Dr. Eric Thomas, E.T. the hip hop preacher, mention it. Excuse me. And one of the messages I was listening to, or something that I was, matter of fact, it was during our 21-day prayer that we was listening to. I heard him mention this book, Daily Motivations for African American Success by Dr. Dennis Kimbrough. And it's so funny, I started reading this book about the end of last month, right before Black History Month began. And it's got, you know, daily affirmations. So what I wanted to do today, it was really where the topic came from, and Black history in spite of. And it's like, what are the things that you went through in spite of the circumstance you may have encountered? This don't have nothing to do with your ethnicity or the color of your skin. It's about some tight situations or some bad spots or some uncomfortable situations that you've been in. But what did you do in spite of the negative energy that was coming at you? So I want to read this passage real quick, and then maybe you can kind of elaborate on it so I don't take over like I do, y'all, because you'll look up and time will be up, okay? You're going to get some, but she ain't going to have nothing to say. I hope y'all heard her 1 minute war. So, February 6th, the title to this is Slim and None. It doesn't matter what you're trying to accomplish, it's all a matter of discipline. I was determined to discover what life held for me beyond the inner city streets. William Rudolph, who's an Olympic champion, he said, there's a breathtaking statue in Mexico that bears the unusual title, In Spite Of. The name was given to honor the sculptor rather than the subject in stone. During the time the sculptor was carving the statue, he suffered a tragic accident and lost his right hand. Nonetheless, he was so determined to finish the project that he learned how to chisel with his left hand. I'm taking notes, y'all. Appropriately enough, the statue is entitled In Spite Of, because in spite of his handicap, the sculptor managed to complete a moving work of art. In spite of their blindness, Ray Charles and Stevie Wonder sing and continue to entertain millions. Think about that. They say they blind, but Stevie be walking to the stage like, what up? I'm right here, microphone. My
magic happens.
So I don't know if he all the way blind, but anyhow, that's just Mr. P. Don't worry about it. Y'all know y'all thought it too. You done seen some people who be playing on their disability sometimes, because we all look disabled ourselves, we play up. But anyhow, back to the matter at hand. In spite of their blindness, Ray Charles and Stevie Wonder sing and continue to entertain millions. In spite of a difficult childhood, Oprah Winfrey has become television's #1 talk show. Now remember, this book is from the 1990s, so bear with me. #1 talk show host. Despite lack of contacts or connections, both Spike Lee and Robert Townsend persevered to produce numerous box office hits. In spite of losing his legs in Vietnam, Bill Denby, not for sure who he is, I'll look him up, overcame a host of physical challenges and motivates others to do their best. In spite of racism and bitter poverty, both Mary McLeod Bethune and Marva Collins transformed a world of ignorance and illiteracy into one of academic excellence and self-respect. In spite of being blind, abused, orphaned, poor, uneducated, others have overcome, excelled, and triumphed. And so can you. So in spite of, as the quotes say, I will reach for my goals in spite of the obstacles. Hearing that passage, and I know it was a lot, and I talked about a lot, and I slowed down a lot. What is it that, can you think of some things that you overcome in spite of when you hear that passage and you look back just on history as African Americans and history of the American society, history of the world, like the things that we overcame in spite of? Like right now, coronavirus, small businesses, in spite of coronavirus, you still have to work and function. Can you think of some things that you may have came through in spite of? Because I know you looked at this passage as well because it sits on our bathroom. Don't worry about the reading spot, but... You know, what do you think about that?
When I first read it, the first thing that came to mind is I had a child young, or we had a child young,
Yes,
and in spite of being a teen parent, I still went on to pursue and obtain my bachelor's degree. I didn't let the fact that I was a young parent, still learning and growing myself, stop me from reaching my goal of obtaining my degree. And I think sometimes we think that or we put on other people that, you know, being a teen parent means now that you have to put your life on hold for your child. When I think that we should strive more when we begin to have children so that our child sees that despite, you know, adversity or despite the obstacles that, you know, they can still do it themselves. So when I first read that, that was something that came to my mind. I don't know. What would you say one of your obstacles would be that you've overcome?
I often talk about, you know, what we went through and how I left and walked out and what people said. In spite of all that, how I made the decision to come back and to get it right. It's like, in spite of me being an extemporaneous speaker and in spite of me being able to flow like that, I also understand I need to get a book sometimes and organize some stuff and structure some stuff, you know, and spite exactly being a desire to hurt, annoy, or offend someone, or in an instance or desire to hurt or hold a grudge, desperately hurt or annoy, in spite of the things that happened to you or people that hurt you or the things that you had to overcome, like being hurt by your 1 minute war, you know, and the Instacart place can't find it, and people then said they don't need the order. Now I spent here an hour. Now I'm hurt, I'm upset, I'm offended. Am I gonna get paid for this? In spite of all that, I still deliver good customer service.
Yes.
You know? So in spite of everything that I did, I still stood up to come back and make things right. The people that I hurting myself, I still decided to come back. And reading this passage, it talked about the art sculptor who created this masterpiece. Like, we think about the Mona Lisa as a masterpiece. You know, we think about the work that Michael Jordan did as a masterpiece, but nobody talk about the in spite of. Like, in spite of him going against the bad boy Pistons and the Celtics and the Lakers and getting knocked down, getting pushed around, being hurt, he still was able to overcome, as the quotes say. I will reach for my goals in spite of the obstacles. And a couple weeks ago, I mentioned how obstacles are just opportunities for us to see ourselves in a different way. So in spite of all of the negative things that people go through, they dig down deeper to find something within themselves, right?
Absolutely.
So thinking about this sculptor, we get caught up looking at the masterpiece, the work, the completed project, but we not looking at the person that completed the project. You might just recognize their name. Oh, Michelangelo, he was great for, I think, the Mona Lisa. But I wonder what it really went through. What did his mind battle through? What did he feel? In spite of what I'm dealing with, how did I get this out to you? So that's my question to you. In spite of what you dealing with or dealt with, how are you able, you know, through the hurt and the anger and the pain, how are you able to get through and be like, you know what, I know I'm a teenage mom and I'm a young mom and my husband might have left when I got married down the line. In spite of all that, what people said, what was it? You think that's something that's birthed in you? You think that's some people have inherently? Or is it the decision that you made? In spite of what went wrong, I'm going to go right.
Yes. process. I just think it starts with a decision. You don't always know how it's going to turn out or how it's going to look, but you just decide that no matter what it takes, I'm going to get to whatever your end goal is, be it a healthy marriage, be it your degree, whatever I have to go through to get from where I am now to where I want to be. I make the decision that I'm going to do it first, and then I learn as I take the steps on how I'm going to get there.
That's good. And what's that process like, even in making that decision? Because it talked about this sculptor. During the time the sculptor was carving a statue, he suffered a tragic accident and lost his right hand. Nonetheless, how determined are you to do this? Okay, during a tragic accident, a brain fart, a mind fart, or growing up or learning myself, the hurt that I went through and the pain that I dealt with, in spite of, my wife gonna be hurt, my kids gonna be hurt, what they was gonna feel, I still left, right? I still left in order to find me, but in spite of leaving, I believe that I could come back and I can finish and I can get it right. In spite of the hurt I caused. And why am I asking that? This man lost his right hand. This is sculpting hand, right? He lost that. So he wanted it so bad that he was able to use his left hand. I lost my wife and my family. When you walk out, you somewhat lose that right to be there. When you walk out from your job, when you cuss your boss out, when you talk to your girlfriend or your boyfriend or whoever crazy, and you hurt them.
Yes.
In spite of your feelings, the hurt that they feel when you come back, you kind of lose that. But even though I caused pain, I was willing to face that pain in order to move forward. This dude lost his hand, but he was able to face that pain by saying, I'm gonna learn a new skill. I'm gonna learn a new skill and I'm gonna build this a different way to get the things, to get to the goals that I say I want in life. When I was gone from y'all, I learned a new skill. I started to learn Ethan, who Ethan was, what I was about, go to school, read, study. In spite of the hurt that had been caused in my life, and the hurt that I caused, it wasn't an official hand chopping off, but it was a chopping off in the mind. You remember last month, B to BRM, that basic game plan?
Yes.
So in spite of that cake batter, those eggs and those seeds and those flour and that sugar that was poured in and mixed up for you, I still rised up to come a different cake that have a better taste to it. Even though you got some bad ingredients, some a little spoiled, if you do it right, you can make it taste good to the right person. It don't have to be so painful. But it takes you facing that adversity and still looking at those obstacles as an opportunity.
Absolutely.
Well, no, you got to give me something more than absolutely. What do you mean?
Well, my absolutely was in agreement that it takes the decision, but you also have to put some action behind it. It's like the sculptor saying, okay, I broke my right hand, and I make the decision to continue on finishing the sculptor, but now I need to learn a new skill. And in my mind, I'm thinking, well, how long did it take him to learn how to sculpt with his left hand? And then to feel confident enough to continue to finish the sculpture. Like, that took time. It was a process. And a lot of times we want to make a decision and then have it come into play all in one moment. And it doesn't happen that way. It's a process. And you have to be okay with the process. Some days you're going to feel great, like I got this, I can conquer the world. And other days you're going to feel like, man, what was I thinking? I just wonder, what was the process of that sculptor going from learning from his left hand to feeling confident about it to actually finishing the sculpture? And was he pleased with the sculpture when he was done with it? Was he, was it more of a proud moment to say that I didn't quit despite
the hurt that I went
the
through.
obstacles, because he could have quit. He could have been like, well, that's it. I hurt myself, so I can't really finish what I started.
So look,
another person could have picked it up and finished it, but he decided that he was gonna change his path and continue on with what he started.
I thought you was gonna say my thought.
Oh.
You said change his path because I had thinking in my mind. I just was like, any minute now I get a break in here. I'm gonna start singing Big Sean, One Man Can Change the World. And that just came to my mind. And the reason I said that one man can change the world, because it took me back to in the Garden of Gethsemane, Jesus, like, if this cup could pass me over, in spite of the hurt and the pain I'm about to endure. For most people in the world who believe in God, maybe not the story of Jesus Christ, but for Christians, we believe he endured a lot of pain. He went through some hurt. And in spite of all the hurt and the pain he was finna deal with, he endured that to be able to change the world. It's just like when you have kids or you're in a relationship, you make some sacrifices in the relationship that hurt you. You go. I can see your face like,
And I say that because you go from having this life where you're doing what you want to do, and now you have to kind of shift your focus to what's best for us. It's not all about it's not all about just me and where I'm going in my direction, but it's what's best for us, what's best for the team. And sometimes making that shift is a process because you've been doing you for so long, and you quickly learn that your single ways don't fit in a relationship, you know? So it's definitely a process.
And it's all in life, we all have had some things that hurt us that we struggle with. Like, if you think about it, again, it's Black history, in spite of, and we talking about the passage and things that people go through, the sculptor who did what he did in order to create the masterpiece, and they called the masterpiece in spite of.
Yeah.
And it's like, you as an African American, Black, white, Hispanic, Puerto Rican, Latino, Indian, Jamaican, whatever ethnicity, what have you dealt with? What type of hurt have you went through, or what type of hurt that you wanted to cause? You know what I'm saying? It's happened to me, so I'm gonna happen to somebody else. In spite of the pain it's gonna cause, sometimes we do that. And it's like, yo, if Jesus wouldn't have did what he did, we might not be able to do what we do. So we all have the opportunity to change the world. And this one artist, in spite of losing his right hand, would still be able to create a masterpiece that really, to me, just show people it can get done.
Yes.
No matter what the obstacle is, it can be done. If you just say, regardless to the pain and the hurt that I'm going through, I am going to battle my way through. 3 weeks ago, I talked about that, the firefight we was in, and that battle mindset, from the battle-ready mindset, the firefight that we was in spite of the hurt that we may have felt, being tired, being sleepy, not knowing what's going to happen. In spite of all that, we fought our way through. It's like, what are you fighting your way through? And then when you fight your way through it, how do you celebrate that? You think about Black History Month again, and we talk about some of the same people: Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Frederick Douglass, Mary McLeod Bethune, Harriet Tubman. But there's so many more people who helped to move this movement forward, and not just for Black history. What about the white Americans that was out there to help support and push this, because they got ridiculed and beat down just as bad as some of the Blacks, if not worse.
Yeah.
So in spite of what you're going through, and in spite of what everybody else may be going through, we all go through some hurt in order to find the best version of you.
Yes, that's one thing that does not have a discrimination. Hurt and pain does not, it doesn't choose, who it's going to affect. We are all affected by it in some way, shape, or form. And it's just all about making a decision and then taking those steps to heal from the pain. And no, it's not going to be easy. It doesn't always go away just like that. It's going to be a process. You're going to have your good and your bad days, but one day you'll wake up and you'll be like, wow, it's been a day and I haven't felt that pain, or it's been 2 days, or it's been a week, it's been a month. But just staying the course until you get there is well worth the freedom that you feel when you do get there, when you do reach that place of healing and peace and wholeness within yourself. So,
because it's a process, and that's the part we haven't got to yet. You often hear me talk about me leaving and walking out and the hurt that I may have caused, but it was a process that I had to go through to deal with the hurt in order to get back. They talk about this artist, in spite of losing his right hand, he learned with his left hand, and you said it. What was that process like? See, a lot of times we want the end result. We want the masterpiece. We want the beautiful relationship. We want the happy job that we say we wake up and just like, oh, it's another great day to go to work. You know, that we love, but we not willing to go through no hurt. You're not willing to be broke. You're not willing to be financially broke because you mentally broke in, and you have to break away from what the world said in order to break into you. And the reason I say that, we not willing to go through a little hurt to get to what we want because it don't feel good.
Yes.
Ain't too many. I think about that. Ooh, I never broke a bone. Lord, don't let me break a bone, especially my right hand. What I'm gonna do? Because I'm right-handed. Well, if you want to be successful, you're gonna learn how to use this left hand. Because what if it's gone forever?
That's good.
What if it's gone forever? What if that person walk out forever? You hurt. So, okay, in spite of that hurt, what are you gonna do? If you don't have a plan, then they say you plan to fail. If you don't have a plan and you plan to fail, the book said, I will reach for my goals in spite of the obstacles. Well, when you set goals, then you have a plan to obtain those goals.
Yes.
A goal is just a dream until you write down a plan to obtain it. So in spite of all the hurt that you go through, all the pain that you go through, what are you doing to get to you? See, they talked about how he did it, but they don't tell you what they actually went through. And that's the part that you miss. They can tell you about everybody can be successful, but I cannot tell you how to get to success because it's going to be some things that we come up and encounter in life that we personally have to go through.
Absolutely, and it's not going to be in a straight line. It's going to be some curves and some bumps, and you're going to get some bruises, but it's just all about it when you fall down, just getting back up. And again, I know that sounds easier said than done, and it is, but you just have to make the decision that, okay, this knocked me down, but if this is really what I say I want, then I can still get back up and go for it. And now I may have to go a different route, but I can still continue where I'm at, you know?
I'm getting text messages from a kid, so I had to break contact and respond to that. And I'm back. But absolutely, it just depends on the route. It's so funny you said the route, and it just came across my mind thinking Black history, and in spite of the hurt and the obstacles you have to overcome, I think about Booker T. Washington, you know, and they talked about how I believe he walked over 150, 300 something miles to go to the university that he went to, and even on his way, he still endured all type of racial things and slurs, and it's like, in spite of all that, you made it. What is your in spite of? Like, what is your personal and what is your personal in spite of thing that you are going through in life? What is it that hurt you that you've overcome in life? And how did you overcome that? And maybe you don't know how to overcome that. And it goes back to last month, what set up for the entire year. Maybe you have to battle some of those things and break down some of those things that you went through. You best believe that every person in this book that has a passage in here, it was something that they had to battle with too. Because if you look at some of these during this time, he talking about Oprah Winfrey being a #1 talk show, and this is back in the 90s, but she had a producer who told her she wouldn't make it because she wasn't good for TV. So you don't think that she had to battle through something? The basic mindset during that time, late 70s, early 80s, one, women is probably not finna be on TV like that, and two, ain't no way you gonna be a talk show queen host. You a woman and you black? Can you just imagine what she had to fight through? Michael Jordan, what he felt like he had to fight through going to the Pistons. I watched the Bad Boys Pistons knock him to the ground and beat him up with the Jordan rules. You don't think that hurt?
Yes.
Like going to high school your first day as a freshman. You might not talk about it now, but everybody felt a little hurt in their mind. But you went through it anyway, you know, because everybody attempted to tell you how bad it was going to be and what it was like freshman day, this, that, and the third, regardless of your neighborhood. But in spite of that little fear, in spite of that little hurt that was on your spirit, on your soul, because what somebody said, you went through it anyway. And then day 1 wasn't so bad. Day 2 became easier. Day 3 was a breeze. Day 4, you like, I got this. And it's the same thing in life. In spite of the hurt you feeling, regardless of the hurt that you feel, you have to pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and be willing to move forward. You have to go back to that beat of the BRM almost in every instance in life. What basically was just dropped in my lap? Oh, that divorce is the way. This is what's gonna happen. People get divorced. It's kind of like deal with it. Divorce is like marriage now is like a committed relationship. If you get divorced, you're just broken up. You know what I'm saying? That's the commitment for some people. But in spite of what you've seen, the hurt that you may have seen, you get to do something different because maybe your goal at one point in time was, I'm gonna be happily married and this is what I want. But it took some time. It took some years, maybe more years than we wanted to. But if the book says it, I will reach for my goals in spite of the obstacles. I'm still reaching for a successful marriage, although we had a marriage that failed. This is a whole new marriage. I'm still reaching for a successful relationship with my children, although I wasn't always a good father. I'm still reaching for financial success in other areas of my life, although I have failed in my life at times financially. Because in spite of the hurt that happened to me, that I caused to myself, I still have goals before me. And that's the end of the B to the BRM. Moving forward, what are you moving forward to in spite of what you've been through? So what was one of the things you moved forward to help you come out of any type of hurtful funk that you was feeling? Something positive for you, something upbeat for you. It had to be something. What you mean? Just what I mean. So you have a hurtful situation, and regardless of how you felt, hurt or whatever, it was something maybe you latched on to. Like, you know what, I gotta do this for me to move forward. This is what gets me up and excites me for the day, for me, you know?
Okay, so it sounds like you're asking me what was my why.
Yeah.
What was my why for getting up and deciding that I was going to keep on going?
Yes.
Even though I was faced with obstacles. I have to say, for me, being a parent was my why. I never wanted to leave with my children that giving up was okay, or that where we are was enough, that there's, you don't have to grow. It's okay for you to live in your comfort zone. I didn't want to leave them with that, because things are not always going to go as you planned them. And in order to get through things in life, you have to be able to shift and move and recreate yourself and invent your plans. And you have to be in a space in your mind where, okay, this is not where I was going, but I'm able to make the shift. I'm able to redirect myself without feeling like my whole world is destroyed. And that's what I really want to leave with my kids, that despite all the things they've seen me go through, I'm still going. I still have a drive to be more than what I was yesterday. And Corona, nobody planned for it, but we're all making the best of it. We all have to shift our lives in order to make it work. We have families, we have bills, we have obligations, and you could, be having a fit and you could just give up, but what good is that gonna do you? None. What good is it to crumble in the midst of adversity? It really doesn't help you. So now you have to say, okay, now that I'm faced with this, how do I get around it? How do I homeschool my children? Well, I need to get them laptops. I need to get good internet service. You just have to sit down and redirect and restructure your life in such a way that you can still be on track for your goals. Like, wow, this was a unexpected event, but I can still move forward in some shape or form. Maybe not in the way I had intended, but it can still be done. And I think that's just a mindset you take on. That's just a I don't know how else to put it. It's just a mindset. It's just something that you're determined to. I think it was Steve Harvey we was listening to, and he made this statement that there are two types of heart. There is a struggling heart where it's hard when you're struggling. You don't have what you need. You don't have the resources. It's hard. But the road to success is also hard, but once you get there, it now gives you options. So do you want the hard where you don't have options and it's just hard and you just struggling, you don't have what you need, you frustrated? Or do you want the hard that comes with success, because that hard says, I can go on a vacation, I can take a sabbatical and things aren't gonna fall apart, and I can come back to this and then keep going. But oftentimes when you don't move your feet and you stay in your comfort zone, that's a hard where you don't have choices, you don't have options. Everything just feels like it's falling apart. But at least if you reach your level of success, it gives you options now. So, and I think for me, that's another motivator. I would much rather reach my level of success and have options than stay in my comfort zone and just complain all my life about how things could be.
That's that failure piece right there. I'm willing to fail an infinite amount of times in order to reach my level of success.
Yes.
And a lot of people are not willing to fail because it hurts. And you're absolutely right.
And we take failure personally. We take it as a badge that says, I'm not good enough.
Why do you believe that is, though?
I'm not sure what happens to us.
I tell you.
Why?
I tell you if you listen. And that is because, again, it goes back to it was programmed in your mind. As a child, it's cool, it's sweet. When you fell down as a kid, they celebrated your fall. Why did your parents celebrate your fall as a kid? Because you was going from one stage to the next. You was going from crawling to walking. So they wanted you to know that it was okay to fail, but don't give up. Keep getting up, baby. You can do it. Keep going. But when your little black self, white self, Hispanic self, disrespectful self, Asian self, whatever your self was hit about a certain age, your parents was mad when you had a little failure. Now I'm potty training and you failing at this horribly. I'm pissed off. You should have been done. Now you at school and I ain't send you to school for this and you coming home with these bad grades, you know what I'm saying? Now they not talking to you like failure so sweet. With mom, dad, I don't get math as fast as everybody else do. I don't get English as fast as everybody else do. I haven't figured out life as fast as everybody else have. I'm failing in some areas, but I'm failing my way to success.
That's good.
And in spite of all the failures that I had, you don't think it hurt me that I failed some stuff? You think you hurt more for my failures than I'm hurting for my failures?
That's good.
But instead of you supporting me, people tear you down. So you feel like you're afraid to fail. And if you're afraid to fail, you are afraid to excel.
That's good.
Because you don't excel without failing. You don't, because it doesn't push you to grow if you comfortable in your flow. Again, this gentleman was sculpting a art piece, a sculpture. He lost his right hand. They wouldn't have been talking about him if he didn't complete the task. He was willing to excel in life. So through the adversity, through the pain, not even the physical pain, but the mental anguish, the what they call the phantom arm or phantom limb, you feeling like it's there. I got to deal with all that and fight all that. And I got to learn to do it with my left hand and create this masterpiece. I got to deal with family members saying, you're not going to be no good. He done already walked out on your girl. You should just leave him alone. Or you didn't walked out on somebody, or you failed at school. You failed at a project at work. And your boss said you suck, just let it go. You got to deal with all that. And in spite of, you go home or in your mind, you got this goal. I'm going to be the #1 movie producer in the world. I'm going to be the #1 speaker in the world. And if you don't overcome that adversity or that pain that somebody poured in your life, then you're going to be stuck feeling like you failed in life. Not knowing that failure is your stairway, it's your flight way to success in your life.
And it makes sense because we aren't great at everything that we set our mind to. There is a learning curve, as we call it, or a learning period where, you're learning that thing. You're getting used to your equipment. You're getting used to how things flow and work. And then you get into your groove after some time has passed.
That's true.
So that makes sense. A lot of times we don't give ourselves that grace to learn something new.
So here's what I want you to do. If you feel like there's so much hurt and adversity that's happened to you. I want you to fail your way through. I want you to start saying this to yourself. I'm willing to fail an infinite amount of times in order to reach my level of success. No matter how much it hurt, no matter how much it's uncomfortable for you, it's going to help you grow to a better version of you. We fail in relationships a lot of times, and that hurt bad when somebody break your little heart, whether you male or female. We fail at relationships a lot of times, but a lot of us don't allow that to stop us from getting in the next relationship. Because the goal is to be with somebody and be happy, and you'll go through a lot of nobodies to find one somebody.
Yes.
Not to say ain't nobody nothing, but it's a lot of nobodies that don't fit for a certain somebody. And you have to know if that nobody is for your body, because if you put that nobody with your body, then your somebody ain't gonna be able to share your body, and that body not gonna move forward. It's a lot of bodies on top of bodies, but you know what I'm saying? It's a body of work. You got to follow it. It's like writing a story. It's my body of work. You got to know what your body is so your body will work. But if you put nobody with somebody that's just your body might not work because that nobody ain't for your body.
Absolutely.
That was part of my body of work.
I don't know if he intentionally confusing us or what. No, but
I'm not confusing you. You just gotta listen to the words that I'm saying.
I'm just being silly. It wasn't confusing at all. It was actually facts, because a lot of times I hear people say, well, it's better to have somebody than nobody. Even if you know that person is a good fit, you like, it's better than being alone, and I disagree. I think that we need time to be alone to find ourselves and what we want before we give our body to somebody.
Well, they don't want to be alone, because when you by yourself, your body feel like it needs somebody, which we do need bodies because we were created to be together. But like you said, sometimes we just want anybody.
Yes.
And it hurts when you all by yourself, learning yourself, dealing with the brain in your body. So therefore, you take somebody who's nobody, not attached to your body, because your body become the 5 people you closest to.
Yes.
And the 5 people you closest to, if they don't have no goals for you or for them, then you gonna fail through. And in spite of all the pain and the hurt and the adversity, you gonna feel like the obstacles can break you, and seems like opportunities never come through. But what the problem is, you surrounded yourself with nobodies but you.
Yes.
So you have to take your body to know your body, so nobody who's not somebody could just be a part of your body, and you feel like failure in your life is stopping everybody from being somebody. No, failure is helping everybody who want to be somebody find themselves inside their own body. Because it's the work that we do on the inside that controls the outside body. You hear me? Touch your body. I'm just saying, in spite of the pain and the adversity that your body been through, it's something and a reason that your body is still here, boo. It just rhymed at the time. I had to do it. But it's something that your body is still supposed to be here to do. So, I dare you to repeat to you, I'm willing to fail my way through. I'm willing to fail an infinite amount of times in order to reach my level of success. The book said I will reach for my goals in spite of the obstacles. We all have obstacles in life, but we all have the opportunity to sit down, look at the obstacle, reprogram it, break it down, get with other people until we figure out how to get it right to get through that obstacle in our life. Because your body was designed by somebody that's greater than our bodies, and he wants you not to just be a nobody.
Indeed.
I plan to give you life and give you life more abundantly for your body, but you got to see your body free in spite of the hurt, pain, and adversity. You can make it through too if you just be willing to basically battle the mindset in you and get ready to move forward. So you can do what you feel like you called to, because the pain is really what's gonna birth you. It's a purpose for your pain.
Yes.
And everything that you go through. So It's almost time to close down where we expressed our mind to you about something that we've been through. And I know we talked about Black History Month and in spite of, just in case you didn't get the whole breakdown, in spite of the adversity, in spite of the pain, in spite of the hurt that you've been through, what are you going to do and how are you going to do it to get the best version of you? We heard Kiki talk about setting people around her, having plans, having a why for what she had to do to get to the best version of her, to get through from the times and things that we did. You heard me talk about how I had to fall back and deal with some things in my painful childhood as a kid. But in spite of the hurt things that we've been through, it's still something that we had to do. You don't think it hurt the first time we came down here to set up Run Shop and we thought we was going live and it didn't go live? You don't think Julie in the can was probably thinking to themselves, oh man, this some crap. Look what's going on. We thought we was finna get it going on and we over here looking like horrible right now. I'm probably feeling like I don't got nothing planned. In spite of all that and getting to know somebody and seeing that everybody has a body of work that they're trying to become successful at. It's the people who fail but never fail or fall back. Yes. You don't fall back on what you used to be or what you used to do. You get up and talk about what you see and how you gonna find your way through. Overcoming the adversity. You lost your hand, well, you got another one that's free. Yes. So while you sitting there taking time doing nothing with it, do something with your mind and figure out how to use it. Because to do what you tell it to do. The adversity we got to get through. You got something you want to say to close out, boo? That you want to leave them with? Nope. She said she done with y'all. That's it. That's a wrap for y'all. I'm done. So I'm going to leave you with this. I will reach for my goals in spite of the obstacles. I will reach for my goals in spite of the obstacles. And if you need more help discovering out what your why is and how to reach those goals and the adversity you've been through and the things that hurt you, I want to do something that's going to bless you and help you too. Hit my email, MrPien77@gmail. Man, I'm sick and tired of going through. In spite of what they said about me and what I had to do, can you help me find my superpower too? Because I want to get the best version of me and I want to help you get the best version of you too. So I want to bless you with this gift that I have for you, but it's something you got to do. You got to look in the mirror and you got to face the little boy, the little girl, the hurts and the pains, or the things that stained your brain that's holding you back from being the best version of you. So I'm going to help you, man. You just got to send a message to my email, MrPien77@gmail, and tell me I'm ready to make it through, find out my superpower so I can do what I'm called to do, because no matter what you go through, you can be great and you called to be great too. You got greatness that lies within you. Yes. So I hope this motivation and inspiration was something for your situation. To free and relax your mind as if you are on a vacation. Vacation, straight to mind transformation, man. Y'all tune in next time. Come back next week. Well, we talking about black love. And we gonna continue this thing as God given us, if he bring us here from us.